Assalamu alaikum everybody. Inshallah you guys are doing well. I miss you so much and I wish that I could have gotten a chance to see all of your beautiful faces. But inshallah you're all doing well, you're staying safe at home. There's a lot of really cool things you guys can do at home, a lot of fun arts and crafts and ways to stay busy. So let me know what you guys are doing to stay busy. I'm doing a lot of homework, a lot of studying. But I think I'm gonna start a puzzle soon. So if I do, I'll let you guys know inshallah. So today we're going to learn about two of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad Thabit ibn Qais and Hasan ibn Thabit. So they're both really important, so opening up your listening ears and be ready to answer a question at the end of this halaqa inshallah. So make sure you're paying attention. So we're going to start with Thabit ibn Qais. And he was one of the few men that was actually directly linked to the Prophet Muhammad he was known as the speaker of the Prophet because he was really smart with the way that he used words. He was very conscious and he paid a lot of attention to how he was going to present himself and what he was going to say before he said it. He didn't just speak whatever he wanted to say and not think about it and then suffer. He was really smart about the way that he presented himself and the words that he chose and the sentences that he would say. And so that was kind of his role at the beginning of Islam, and it was a really important role. And everybody knew that he was the speaker of the Prophet, and if they needed help with a speech or something, he was the guy you go to. And Thabit was one of the leaders of the Khazraj tribe, and he was really well respected in Yathrib. And he accepted Islam actually before the Prophet Muhammad completed his hijrah. So he was one of the earlier adopters of Islam. And one of his most notable, well-known moments in his life was a speech that he gave to a group of men, and they ended up all accepting Islam afterwards. And so what happened was that there was a group of around 80 men from the tribe of Tamim, and they were going to meet the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and they wanted to ask him questions about Islam. And so they had a spokesperson for their tribe, and he came and he asked his questions and he presented himself in a very persuasive kind of way. The questions and the words that he was asking and saying seemed very professional. And so Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when it was his turn to speak and give a response, he asked Thabit ibn Qais to respond. And Thabit actually gave the most beautiful speech ever, and it left these men in just shock, and they were so amazed that this Muslim was able to present this information in such a beautiful way. And so after that speech, they actually all accepted Islam, every single one of them. And they were like, this is the way of life that we want to accept for ourselves, and we want to spread this message as well. And so that's a pretty awesome thing, right? To have a whole group of 80 people wanting to accept Islam because of what you said. So moving on from that, Thabit was really connected to the Quran. And so he would always criticize himself whenever he felt like an ayah related to him, or he was worried that an ayah might be about him. And a lot of the times the ayah wasn't brought down specifically for Thabit, but he would somehow connect it to himself. And it made him really worried sometimes about his actions or his way of life, or maybe he needed to change things about himself. It was a really big struggle for him. And so there was an ayah that was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and it says, "O you who believe, raise not your voices above the voice of the Prophet, nor speak aloud to him in talk, as you may speak aloud to one another, lest your deeds become vain and you perceive not." So Thabit, who spent a lot of time speaking and giving speeches to large groups of people, he had a really loud voice, and he became so worried that because of his loud voice, he was going to suffer in some way, shape, or form, and that this was sort of Allah's warning to him. And so he hid away for a few days, and he didn't see the Prophet. He didn't really spend a lot of time with anybody, I don't think. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ became a little concerned. And so he actually went to Thabit, and he was like, what's going on? Like, I miss you. Where are you at? Come back. And Thabit explained how he was really worried that his loud voice was going to put him in bad situations. And he was afraid that his voice was going to lead him to become one of the people whose deeds became vain or became bad, sort of, because he didn't present himself in a good way. And so Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he comforted him, and he said, you live well and you will die well. And so Thabit, he felt a little bit more at ease, and he's like, okay, like if the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told me that I'm going to be okay, then I believe him, because he's a trustworthy man. And so he went about his life and things were normal. And then there was another ayah that was revealed, and it said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves not any arrogant boaster. And he again became very worried. He goes, am I an arrogant boaster? Is this ayah about me? Am I going to be somebody who thinks too highly of himself? And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, again, he reassured him, and he said, you are not one of them. You live a praised life, and you will die a martyr and enter the garden. And we know that a martyr is somebody who dies for Islam. And so indeed that Thabit entered in the battle of Yamama, and he was killed in that battle. And so we know that inshallah he died as a martyr, and he inshallah will enter Jannah with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So we see that Thabit had such a great character, and he was always trying to work on himself and become the best Muslim that he could be. And that's something that we want for ourselves, and we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us be really smart about our words and the way that we present ourselves and the way that we present Islam to other people, because obviously we want to spread the message of Islam in the most beautiful way and make the people around us love Islam the same way that we do. So moving on to Hasan ibn Thabit. He was such a dear and beloved companion of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he was actually the first and most notable poet who used his poetry to praise the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He accepted Islam when he was around 60 years old. He's a little bit older than you guys. And he was in Medina, and he, you know, when he accepted Islam, he decided, I want to use like my talent and my gift to spread the message of Islam in a beautiful way and make people love this like religion the same way that I do. And so he became Islam's earliest poetic defender, which means that he used his poetry to explain Islam and defend Islam to people who didn't necessarily agree, didn't really understand what Islam was. He gave it to them in a way that was a little bit different than just a speech or a conversation. And his poems, they contained references to a bunch of different events that were really useful in helping us kind of document the period of time. And so there was actually a few poems of his that contained ayahs from the Quran. And so we see that he really, really did try his best to include Islam in his poems and use it as a way to spread the message of Islam in his own way. You know, we don't all spread things the same way. We don't all share our information the same way. And so for him, poetry was kind of his safe space. He felt comfortable writing and creating poems. And so he used that gift to kind of praise Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And his poems became really important in the spread of Islam because he was taking a part of this like Arab culture and mixing it with like religion, Islam. And so by putting the two of them together, he was giving people information in a way that they wanted to accept and they were willing to like listen to it and really hear what his poems were saying and what Islam was, and like receiving the message in a way that they were excited for. And so his poems are now known, like well known, for being some of the most beautiful praises of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it also shows us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He encourages us to use our talents and our abilities and our different gifts to support Islam and kind of praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in whatever kind of form that you can do that and you can spread Islam, use your talent, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to you, and He gave you this awesome gift, and if you can figure out a way to make it kind of connect to Islam, then like that's amazing, right? You want to get all the good deeds that you can, and this is the most easy way to do it. So I do have a question for you guys, slash kind of an activity that I would love for you guys to kind of respond to me, either in like this group chat or send it to me personally if you would like. So I want you to think really, really hard about the different talents, abilities, or gifts that you have, and think about how you can use your talents and abilities to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you're like Hasan and you have this like talent of writing poetry, are you going to use your talent and write poems about Islam? Because that would be really cool. If you're really good at drawing and you like to draw, then are you going to draw pictures about different things that relate to Islam? You could draw a beautiful masjid, you could draw the Kaaba, you could draw what you think Jannah looks like for you. You could draw whatever you want. So I want you to think about all the different talents that you have, and see how you can connect it to Islam and use that to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I can't wait to see what you guys send me. And yeah, inshallah, I will see you guys next week for next week's Halaqa. Assalamu alaikum.